I have to start with an apology because I'm probably the reason why the content of this presentation will be banned from Facebook and other social media platforms, but you'll see a little bit later. Anyway, I have, there's a slide missing, but anyway, there is the changes in Danish marketing law have been not very significant, but we have a new marketing law coming out. You know, Denmark is the second country in the world to have a consumer ombudsman, and we have a very protective Marketing Practice Act. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the new marketing law, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about blog ads to continue on where Duncan stopped. And then I'll do a little bit about gender discrimination advertisement. The new Danish Marketing Act is a paradise for lawyers because for some odd reason the group who sat down and drafted the law managed to prepare a draft which is more or less impossible to read and understand because it's so complicated language. So we go from a very simple language that may have certain flaws in how to interpret it to very complicated language. Part of the reason is that Denmark has been struggling with implementing the UCP directive. We have tried and tried, and the Commission has kept saying, well, it's not really enough. When the UCP directive came out in 2005, the government started to say, we're fine because we have the best protection in Europe, so we don't have to change anything. And then they changed a little bit, and they changed a little bit more, and what happened was actually that they've used the same standards for marketing business to business as for business to consumer, which requires that there's a fairly high standard also in marketing business to business. But that has changed now, and the language of the law has changed as well. So now we will have two different general clauses on unfair competition and marketing practice. And we'll have to see how that will develop in the future, but that may change things a bit. Another thing that's part of the revision of the law is the unsolicited marketing. You know, there is an opt-in solution and there's an opt-out. And under Danish law, we chose both. And we also made them very broad so that they are both relevant business to business as well as business to consumer, which means I cannot send an email to another company and try to sell my services. And that has created a few complications. So I wanted just briefly to tell you what the rules are. I can make a phone call to anyone I like. I know some of you are a little surprised that we can make cold calls as lawyers, but we can. If it's a consumer, I can only call them if I want to sell books, newspapers, magazines, insurances, and rescue services. All things that are very easy to understand in a telephone call. Unless you're on the Robinson list, and in Denmark about 1/5 of the population is now on the Robinson list. In Sweden, you can sell a lot more over the phone, which means the Robinson list is much bigger. A lot more people in Sweden opt out of calls. But electronic communication, without prior explicit consent, I cannot approach anyone. They're changing it now so that if you have an ongoing business relationship, you can now also market similar services, which is a broadening of the ability to contact customers through electronic means. And they're also, in terms of business to business, broadening it so that if you get a business card from someone or you meet someone and you chat with them, you're allowed also to send them an email. But for the time being, you're not allowed to do it at all unless you have an explicit consent. Blog ads is a big thing. This was the first case we had in Denmark. The big discussion was what was the agreement? The company sent this product to the girl and asked her to air this product, and she agreed, and it was considered illegal. We have different cases. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to show you the last thing, which is this. Because this, you would probably say, is not legal. It's legal in Denmark because it's not discriminative. It's just a woman with little clothes on. This one was marketing surgery. It's also legal. The only problem is if it becomes discriminatory, and this was considered a secretary who is, supposed to be in a job where she may be misused by males, and for that reason that was illegal. And this one is the latest one. She has pretty much clothes on, but again it was for a show for do-it-yourself people, so it was considered also illegal. The one with the little clothes on was legal because it's not discriminatory, but this one where it's gender discrimination, it's not legal. So in Denmark it's still possible to have little clothes on in advertisement, but you're not allowed to make discriminatory expressions. Thank you.